On today's show, got a quick recap of the weekend. Kyle has some splaining to do, and we are going to be making some picks for conference championships. They'll be coming up this week, the tournaments at least. So without further ado, start the show. Welcome to an episode of Sitting Courtside. Today is Tuesday, March 12th. It is conference championship week. But before we get into that, you guys bullied Kyle into getting new glasses after you called him blind 3 times last week.
That's true. That is a good point. Yeah, I actually got new glasses. I can see guys. They're not the ones that I got in middle school or before middle school. So I can actually see in my glasses. So I'm rocking them for the show today.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, like you mentioned, we'll do a quick recap because we do have a lot to go through with a conference championship. Try to keep this into like the 40 minutes that we normally do. So, but I think our biggest fear occurred on Saturday, or actually on Sunday. Indiana State loses to Drake in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship. And then now firmly on the bubble, I looked at 4 different websites, including ESPN and CBS. All of them have them either as one of the first 4 teams, or last 4 teams in, or last 4 buys. So debating on or seeing how the rest of these games go, if people start knocking off like other teams that should already be in the tournament, taking bubble spots. I think
Yeah.
our team is going to have to really sweat the next week out.
You want to know the real? It's not. It's worse, Kyle. It's worse than
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Their number one competitor at this point, if you look at those websites, is who?
I'm not sure. Who's it?
Villanova.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then directly behind them, which you will not care about, is
Yeah.
Indiana.
Oh, that's
Those
true
three
too.
teams are basically vying for like one spot.
Yeah.
It couldn't get worse for my household at this point.
Yeah, it's brutal. And I mean, I still don't understand it, man. Like Michigan State has lost 4 games in a row now. They're a
Yes,
complete
they're terrible.
disaster, and yet they're still projected to be in the tournament. They have they've played 11 quad one games. They have 3 wins. They have 5 losses in quad two. Like Indiana State has 2 losses outside of quad one, and yet they're just automatically not in the tournament. For most, or for some people, I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I did make the decision pre-show. I think I'm just gonna go with I'd rather have Indiana State in than Villanova because all we do is look for championships at Villanova. Indiana State will be fun.
Yeah, that's
So
true. And that Nova team's not winning the championships.
no, not a chance they are.
No.
Okay. What the fuck? If
What's
anyone is
going
seeing
on?
what's happening on my computer, I apologize. I don't think they are, but my Mac has consistently asked me 7 times in the last 30 seconds to sign in. I don't know what it wants me to
Uh,
do.
all right. Well, are you ready to keep it moving?
Yeah, let's keep going. I'll just
Okay.
keep hitting cancel as long as no one can
Yeah.
see the screen popping up in front
No.
of their face.
Well, from one disaster to another, Duke loses to UNC. The final score much closer than the game actually was. And Duke has another tripper. Philip Kowski tripping people again. I don't know why Duke people decide
Dude,
they have to do this.
dude,
And
you you have a lot of explaining to do right now.
okay,
All
okay.
right. One, what the hell is wrong with Duke? They can't beat their rival like at home, senior day.
Yeah.
2, why do you consistently find people that trip?
I don't
Like
know. I can't explain that
Matt
one.
Painter finding weird dudes over 7 foot is about as common as Duke recruiting someone that loves to trip people.
Yeah. I
And then
mean,
and then 3, and then I'll let you talk. John Shire. I love that you take accountability, but at some point, my guy, like quit apologizing. Just take
yeah.
the accountability, but like don't say anything. You're walking through and apologizing to like the student section and like God knows what happened at the presser. Like you lost. Just get over it and move on to that. Like maybe like curve it a little bit from like super nice guy to like maybe you need to be a little bit of an asshole. A
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, he only gets mad at the other teams and other officials. He doesn't get mad at his actual team. So,
That's just
I can't explain the tripper though. I tripping. I don't understand why people do it. I don't understand why it's always the Duke annoying guy that's doing it. Philip Kowski. I mean, I obviously had huge expectations coming into the season. He's actually become so unlikable, even from a Duke fan. Like he's like the fifth most, my fifth favorite player on the team. Like
which is
he's
saying a
fallen.
lot.
He's fallen
Yes.
so far down, like my rankings of who I like on this team.
Yep.
And I honestly think this is just a reminder. I don't know if it's going to get to me, but it should be a reminder to every non-Duke fan. This is just not that. It's not Duke level good. The ACC was just down this season. Like the both times they played North Carolina was in a completely different class. They only led for 16 seconds the entire season in two games against
That's
North Carolina. Duke is a good team. They're not a championship team, and it's just a reminder that North Carolina, they're better. They're on a different level, and the ACC was just down. That's why Duke piled up so many wins this season.
you know, if you look at the stat line too of this game,
Mm-hmm.
you could have convinced me that Duke won this game. They only had 7 turnovers to North Carolina's 13. They shot the ball, I think, it was like 40% from the field,
Mm-hmm.
but they got absolutely manhandled on the boards.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that is not good if you want to win championship games. However, I want to do a silver lining for you, Kyle.
Okay.
Trying to keep positive vibes here as much
Okay.
as we want to rag on Duke and it was a bad showing. If you look at some of the metrics that go into not the Kim Pom one, if you go into some other ones, Duke still is in that like magical spot of like analytically they do match what you need over the last 20 years to win a national title.
Yeah.
Like it's there. In fairness, so does BYU. I don't think they're winning the national title either, but there is a silver lining.
Okay, okay. And I will say, if you look into their net and stuff, all their losses that remember they used to have like three quad three losses, they're all now
Yes.
quad two losses.
Well,
So they
good.
don't have a bad loss. So they're going to end up with a 3 or 4 seed. But
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's
yeah,
still some bad losses.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they were down 10 points to like Indiana Southeast or whatever the hell it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. I can't remember which team it was, but I do remember that tweet from you. All right, enough of Duke though, because we did have a huge rest of the weekend. Houston absolutely made a huge statement this weekend, 76-46 win over Kansas. Dickinson dislocates his shoulder for Kansas. They're just lost. Like this team feels toast. Like I don't have any faith in them in the Big 12 tournament. No faith in them in the NCAA tournament. But Houston really solidifying probably. I think if you look at it today, they probably have the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I think because them and UConn could really make, I think, a bounce back and forth. You can make your debates because both of those conferences are really strong. I think with
Mhm.
Kolek out though for Marquette, that kind of like weakens the pool over there. So I think,
Yeah,
I mean, if both those teams show up to their championship games, like it probably will be Houston because it'll be a tougher road.
yeah, I agree. And I assume you agree with me on Kansas, seeing you never been on the Kansas
I don't know who
bandwagon this
Kansas is. I don't
deal.
know this
Okay.
team you speak of.
Well, speaking of one seeds, we kind of have an open one seed now. The fourth one seed is wide open after Tennessee loses at home against Kentucky. Arizona also got a loss this weekend
Mhm.
at USC, and then Iowa State lost at Kansas State 65-58. So honestly, that fourth one seed is wide open, and it's really whoever kind of makes their way either to a championship game or wins their conference tournament that I think really will take it outside of Purdue, UConn, and Houston.
Yep. Here we go. I know what it's going to be. I can give you 3 scenarios, and these are the 3 teams that can do it. All right.
Okay.
One, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because we said that whoever won that game between them and Duke, if they went and won that conference tournament, they'd be the team.
Yeah.
All right. So North Carolina. 2, Iowa State if they beat Houston in the championship game, which I don't even know if that's how their bracket will work out. But if they beat Houston and win their title, let's just
Yeah.
call it that. And then third will be Tennessee. But
Okay.
realistically, for Tennessee to get that now, just how they've been skidding the last probably 4 weeks, they're gonna have to win like every game convincingly, like
Hmm.
very convincingly. Because even so, like the SEC is kind of beat up on each other a little bit. They're not gonna have like these massive wins.
Yeah.
Like beating Kentucky is not gonna do them any justice, right? Or beating Florida, like it's not gonna do anything. So they're gonna have to win convincingly to get the 1 seed. So I think it's North Carolina's to win.
Yeah.
They don't win their conference tournament, it drops to those 2 teams.
Yep, I'm all aboard on that with North Carolina. I think they're going to run through a weak ACC tournament, get get the championship, and that'll move them to either 8 or 9 quad one wins and only 6 losses compared to everyone else who will have 7 or 8 losses by that point. So I think I agree with you. I think they're the favorite to take that
The
last
the real
one seed.
question will be, will they do the unthinkable and send North Carolina to the West?
Yeah,
Or will they consider Houston the West and give North Carolina the South, which would be BS.
it really would be. You have to send them out west with the gulf between how like good the other three teams have been compared to
Oh,
North Carolina.
yeah. And you could say, well, that's a disadvantage. Sorry, then don't
Yeah,
win, I guess. I don't.
yeah. Don't win. And then we'll move it to your guns up. Texas Tech huge home win,
Yes.
78-68 over Baylor, and I was actually very impressed with how they controlled this entire game.
Yeah, there. Honestly, I was looking through some long shots for a
Uh-huh.
later segment, and I actually have more confidence in Texas Tech than I do BYU. I think moving
Okay,
forward.
that's interesting. I agree, but I've never been on the
Yeah,
BYU.
yeah. You're not on these trains, okay,
Yeah.
Kyle? I'm the one that has to deal with this internally.
Oh, and then another one of our, at least a recent podcast favorite, South Florida. Unfortunately, they lose to Tulsa. This now gives them 6 quad 2 or worse losses on the season with only 1 quad 1 win. So they pretty much have played themselves out of an at-large and will need to win the ACC or AAC title
See,
to end up in the tournament.
and they're like not even a favorite,
Yeah, I
which
know
is
they're
insane.
not.
That's insane to me. But and
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel now that they've just had this many bad losses. It's like,
Mhm.
are you a good team? I don't know.
Yeah, this game was so disappointing too because they got up in this game, leading most of the all the first half, most of the beginning of the second half, and then the wheels completely fell off in the second
Yeah.
half. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on for the weekend was, I think on Sunday Illinois did us all a favor.
Oh my
They
god.
they beat Iowa, and so that should just basically end Iowa's tournament chances unless they go on like a one hell of a Big Ten run, like
Yeah.
make it to the championship game. But I am so glad that this late spurt from Iowa didn't do enough to get them in the tournament because they are just not a fun team to watch.
No, they're terrible. They're
They
honestly,
are.
they are like a brand that you can associate with basketball, but like they're right up there right now with like every brand that people hate. Like I just don't want to watch them play.
Uh-huh. Like, and they shoot a lot of threes. They don't make a lot of threes. They don't play defense. They have no like outstanding talent on their team. It's a boring watch.
Also, I think this is like this wild thing. I just can't stand McCaffrey, their
Yeah,
coach.
yeah.
Yeah, he's so annoying.
I think
Honestly, and the
everyone.
crazier part too is you could convince me if I knew nothing that their men's coach McCaffrey and the women's coach were married. Like
Yeah,
they look
yeah.
like the exact same person. They could
They
be brother
really
and
do.
sister. Like
They
they're
really do.
it's insane how Iowa is so consistent with what they get. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
insane.
is. All right. Did you have anything else from the weekend you wanted to recap, or do you want to head on into the conference tournaments?
Let's do it.
All right. Real quick update on records because I did have an 18 play Saturday. Of course, went 9-9, so
Fair.
absolutely didn't matter at all when you go 9-9 on 18 team play. But I am now 387, 313, and 2, so sitting at 55.2% win percentage.
All right. I am 535, 483, and 20.
Okay.
1,038 plays,
Wow.
52.6%. I went 19, 11, and 1 for an ROI of 17%, 64% win percentage in the last week.
Nice. Wow. You were hot right at the best
When
time
you
of the
when
year,
your
too.
boy doesn't have to chase the plays, he gets to pick the plays. He's got
Yeah.
it. We're locked in. When you make that many picks, you know the teams at this point.
Uh-huh, that's true. Very good point there. All right, this is kind of an annual episode we do every season where we go through all the big conference tournaments, give you guys who won the regular season, what are some of the odds, who we picked to win, and a long shot for each
Mhm.
conference. So we'll try to fit this in the next 20 minutes, and we'll start with the AAC, a conference that we briefly talked about with South Florida. The regular season winner was South Florida. They went 23-6, 16-2 in the conference. The live odds from DraftKings is where I got all these odds are FAU currently the favorite at plus 185 to win. The AAC, SMU at plus 400, South Florida at plus 500 to round out the top three. I'll go first. I'll give my pick to win because it's also going to be my long shot. Kind of how I did the long shot was it had to be plus 500 or better.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with South Florida for both of these. I think they get into the tournament. I'm They match up really well with FAU. At least the game that I watched, they basically played the same style. They were much more physical than FAU. So I will take South Florida both as my pick and my long shot here.
Right. I like to be a little contrarian, so I'm going to take Memphis as my winner.
Okay.
No
Okay, we're
bias
going back to
whatsoever into that
Memphis.
one. Yeah. My long shot though, I'm gonna pick real long shots here. I'm gonna go UAB plus
Okay.
1600. They've been a decent team. They're not the class of the conference, but I think they're good enough if you catch them on the right days, they could win a weekend tournament.
I like that pick. That is like again another team more fun to watch than Iowa UAB when they get going. They're good.
There you
They're fun to
go.
watch. All right, let's move it to the Atlantic 10 Conference where we have the regular season winner was split. It was Richmond and Loyola. Richmond gets the 1 seed, Loyola gets the 2 seed. They both went 23-8, 15-3 in the conference. That being said, the odds actually favored Dayton at plus 150 to be the winner. So neither team that won the regular season favored in this one. Richmond at plus 475 and Loyola at plus 550. Who you like in this A10 conference tournament?
All right, I'm gonna do what you did. My pick is also my long shot. I'm taking VCU plus 1,000. They
Wow. Okay.
they just the tournament has turned into you expect VCU, and they're always going to be dangerous. Tournament style play. That is like they are the we're going to go way back here. The mid 2000s San Francisco Giants. Not great in the regular season. They get just good enough to get there. They're made for the playoffs. They're made for tournaments. I'll take VCU.
Okay. I like it. That is a ballsy pick there. I was not expecting that one. My pick again is going to be the same for both my pick and my long shot. It's Loyola at plus 550.
Yep.
They're the hottest team in the conference, 10-1 in their last 11 games, and they do have to play against Dayton if they make it to the semifinals. But I think somebody actually does knock off Richmond at the top. So I really think the championship will be when they play Dayton. So I will take Loyola because they're the hotter team right now. All right, we go to that conference. We've spoke a decent amount already on this podcast. The AAC tournament, where obviously North Carolina won the regular season at 25-6, 17-3 in conference. The odds favored North Carolina plus 150 to win, Duke plus 160, and then the third favorite here is Clemson at plus 850.
Yeah.
So obviously very top heavy. Obviously, I'm a Duke fan, but I can't, after what I've seen the last 2 times they've played, I can't pick them to beat North Carolina if I'm actually giving out a pick. So I'll take North Carolina, the chalk, to win here. But my long shot, I like this one a lot, actually, with how not so much how the bracket fell, but they did get a double bye. It's Pittsburgh at plus 1,200. They have a hard road because they have to play probably Wake Forest, North Carolina, and then Duke. It's a very hard road, but they're playing really well right now. The longest win streak in the AAC. ACC.
ACC.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these messed up all podcasts. But I think they beat Wake Forest in that big matchup in the first round. Maybe they get high at the right time. So Pittsburgh at plus 1,200 for my long shot.
Okay. Oh, this is tough. I just want chaos, I think. I'm gonna go for chaos.
Okay.
I do think either North Carolina or Duke win this. I'll take Duke again, just to be a contrarian, and like maybe Shire has apologized enough to maybe win something. My long shot though, like I don't see anyone else winning this tournament. So I'm gonna take Wake Forest because they at least have the shooters to beat North Carolina or Duke. And it's a semi rivalry, you could say, not really the last 20 years, but I'll go with them, which means basically we both have a very fun matchup in the first round.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun right off the bat. All right, let's move it on to the Big 12, the tournament everyone's got their eye on. Regular season winner obviously was Houston, 28-3, 15-3 in conference. Odds favored them as well at minus 135. Iowa State comes in at plus 300, Baylor at plus 750, and Kansas at plus 1,200. I think this one actually fell out to be perfect for Houston. They have a very easy road. They'll play the winner of Oklahoma, TCU. I don't buy either of those teams. Then they play Texas Tech, BYU. That's not going to threaten them really that much on offense. So I think they got a really easier road to the championship game. So they're the pick, but that's not fun. Like minus 135, that's not fun odds. My long shot, I can't believe this is actually this high, plus 750 for Baylor. I'm going to take Baylor plus 750 and just hope that their shots are hitting in this tournament because that's the only way you're beating Houston. So.
Yep. Weak pick. Yeah, this is probably the one where you take Houston and go on with your life. However, there is one team I am stunned that these odds are real because they have literally played within 10 points of every single team, beaten some of these teams as well.
Okay.
Going with the nastiest, dirtiest, most beautiful place on earth, Cincinnati.
Oh,
Plus 20,000? Are you
wow.
serious?
That is crazy.
In the words of my boy on The Office, why can I not think of his name? The Dum Dum. You give me 10,000 to 1 odds on anything and I'll take it. Now, technically,
Okay.
it's not 10,000 to 1, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. I mean, that is
Plus
pretty crazy.
20,000?
That actually, so what are they? They're the 11. Oh, so they have to play on the first day too. Okay.
Yeah, which is great for them. They're
Yeah.
a scrappy team.
Yeah. Yeah. In game two, I'm trying to see who they'll play. Kansas? Yeah, in game two. If they win, they play
And they
Kansas. I
beat
love it.
Kansas.
Yeah.
They beat Kansas. That's what I'm saying.
And
They play within, I think, what, 3 points of Houston? Like,
yeah.
they can win games. How are you giving them those odds?
Well, and that's a Kansas team with probably without Dickinson. If he does play, he's definitely not 100%. So yeah, I like that call. I like that. All right, we'll move it to the Big East. Regular season winner UConn, 28-3, 8-2 in conference. They have the same odds as Houston, minus 135 to win the Big East title. Creighton plus 425, Marquette plus 500. If you have any inside information and know that Kolek's going into play, instantly jump on plus 500 because you'll never see Marquette at that high of a number. But I don't expect him to play. Who do you like here in the Big East?
Well, one, DraftKings. Figure out how to put things in alphabetical order.
I know it was
This is
terrible.
insane.
Yeah.
Where are you getting where are you doing this on? This is
Yeah.
crazy. Um,
It's so funny that you noticed that too.
yeah, big brains. So UConn, I think, is the pick. Long shot, I'll take Seton Hall plus 3,500.
Wow. Okay. Seton Hall, you stole my pick because I have pick obviously it's UConn. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But then I have long shot, none. But if I have to take one, I'll take Seton Hall at
Yeah,
the plus
again,
3,500.
exactly. This is what happens when you spend this much time with someone. You end up
Uh,
having the same thought. This is
uh,
also what's going to happen. Fun fact, just spoiler alert. Next week we'll get and do our tournament
yeah.
breakdown, and me and Kyle inevitably will have like 6 of the same 8 teams
Yeah.
in the Elite Eight.
And then like I don't know if this happens to you, but when we like get to that level, I'm like, I just gotta pick something opposite of him.
No, yeah,
Just-
exactly what we do. No, we will have 6 of the 8 same, but then we'll go to the Final Four and only have like 1 of the same team because we're like, nope, can't pick the same.
So true, so true. All right, let's move it to the Big Ten, which I didn't realize they ever did conference tournaments in Minnesota, but I just realized that they did the girls one there, and now they're the
Yeah,
men's one is there.
yeah.
That's not like
TIAA.
that's like not even close to anybody besides the Gophers. Like that's just not very centrally located at all.
Also,
But
can we think of a worse place to put something whenever it's a winter sport?
yeah, it's terrible.
What are we doing?
I don't know. Because I was like, oh man, maybe it's in Indy or Chicago this year, and like maybe on Sunday I'll go. It's like, nah, it's all the way fucking Minnesota. So, all right, regular season winner, obviously Purdue, 28-3, 17-3 in the conference. They are plus 100 to win the Big Ten tournament. Illinois plus 300, Nebraska plus 700. I think the obvious pick here is Purdue. They did it last year. They won the regular season last year. They won the NCAA or the Big Ten tournament. I think they do it again here if I have to pick. But I'm going to go with the long shot here, and I really like this one. Ohio State plus 3,500. They're 5-1 in their 6 games under this new coach. They have wins over Purdue and Michigan State in that time, and their last 3 wins in that stretch have all been by double digits. They're playing very well right now. They played that crappy Iowa team in the round 1 when they play. They take on Illinois. That's the problem. Is Illinois is the next game, but they have off shooting games. If Shannon kind of doesn't play well, they could win that game. And they're on the right side of the bracket because you get to avoid Purdue until the championship game if you make it that far.
Is it? Yeah, it is. Wow. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the Purdue's the obvious pick. My long shot, I'm gonna go Indiana.
Okay.
They've been playing really well the last 2 weeks. They maybe haven't been finishing well. Ipso facto Sunday against Michigan State when they're up 17 and won by 1 because they can't hit their free throws. But they also have like a pretty decent route. They're going to end up either playing, was it Penn State or Michigan in the first round?
Yeah.
Their first game. And then after that, you go and play Nebraska, a very beatable team. That's when you don't play them at home. And then you go into the semifinals, right? So it's like they have a very winnable road to get to probably a rematch against Purdue, which would be bonkers because I'm pretty sure that was actually what happened last year, wasn't it? Wasn't Indiana Purdue the championship last year, or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years
2 years
ago.
ago, yeah.
Okay.
Because last year I think they did end up playing, but I think it was like in the semifinals or something.
Got it.
It wasn't in the final, but yeah.
Yep. Indiana's plus 6,000 for anyone that cares.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they've been easy money makers recently too, like getting like double-digit points on the road, and it's been very profitable recently.
Yep.
All right, maybe the most fun conference tournament, the Mountain West regular season winner, Utah State, 26-5, 14-4 in the conference. The odds though, they like San Diego State plus 260, Utah State plus 425, Nevada plus 500. Break it down. Who wins our favorite conference?
All right. So going into the show, I was all in on UNLV
Okay.
until about 5 seconds ago. And I just
Okay.
got hit by lightning. Going Colorado State plus 750.
Okay, Colorado State. I like it.
They are the epitome of streaky in that conference.
Yes.
Everyone is so inconsistent. They're the one team I can trust to, for like 2 days in a row, to go bonkers from 3 and win that tournament.
Yep. Yeah, I mean they really fell off, but like they have the best player, well, maybe the best player in the conference, definitely going into the season. We all thought so. So if he gets hot, I could definitely see it.
Kyle, you stay off of them, okay?
I will. I will.
Everything you do
yeah.
is the opposite, okay? You say that they stink and they're going to win the whole thing, and you're going to say, you mother effers.
How could I ever trust this damn team? So my pick here is going to be both my pick and my long shot. It's not really that long of a long shot, but I'm going to go with Boise State plus 600.
Yep.
The Colorado State Nevada second round kind of scares me away from Nevada because I don't like that matchup that well. And then Utah State is on the same side as San Diego State and UNLV, so I just really don't like the setup for anybody but Boise State. So I'll take them plus the 600. And that was a very impressive win they got on the road in San Diego State to end the regular season. So I liked what I saw from them.
Yeah, you saw the same thing I saw. Don't pick the other side. That is a gauntlet.
No. Yes, it really is. All right, we'll go to the conference that we basically try to skip every podcast, the Pac-12 regular season winner, Arizona at 24-7, 15-5 in conference. Though they did end the season with that ugly, ugly loss at USC. They're the odds-on favorite. They're the biggest favorite in any of the big conferences, minus 160. Colorado plus 500, Washington State plus 500, and then Oregon plus 1,000. I'm going to go, obviously, at the chalk here with my pick because I just don't buy anybody. Washington State's kind of crumbled here at the end of the season, too. But my long shot, I'm going to go with Colorado plus 500. I know it's not that long, but I actually really like what they're doing right now. They're the hottest team in the conference. They have NBA talent. They have three projected first-round picks right now. And they're currently on the bubble. So they have like a huge, like, they don't have to win this tournament, but they need multiple wins. So it's going to be very, like, pressure filled, but they also have a lot to play for here. So I'm going to take Colorado plus the 500 if I have to give somebody that's not Arizona.
Yep. I like Arizona because they potentially could backdoor themselves into a 1 seed, especially if everyone's all about geography. That just makes sense to throw them in the West. I love the Colorado pick as well. However, there's one team specifically I have not been on. You were on them at the start of the year. They're finally healthy. They're fun. USC.
Yeah, that's true. They are fun.
They're finally healthy. They're a hell of an offense when they're healthy. And I mean, the tournament that makes too much sense. LeBron James at every game for USC at the tournament, which will be one game to be clear.
Yeah.
But he'll be there.
Yeah. I mean, that Kohler guy, if he gets hot for 1 week, he could definitely win it because he's going to be the best player on the court against everybody, basically.
They have the talent to do it. They just got to figure it out for 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week for the rest of their lives. That's all it is.
Yes. They haven't figured it out for 4 months, but if they can get it together for 1 week.
All it takes.
All right, our last conference tournament is the SEC. This one should be absolutely bonkers because there are so many good teams, but also so many inconsistent teams in this conference. Regular season winner, Tennessee was 24-7, 14-4 in conference. The odds kind of all over the place here. We got Tennessee at plus 130, Auburn at plus 260, Kentucky at plus 400, Bama at plus 450. Who do you like to take? Which I think this is the hardest one to predict. I honestly think of all the conference.
I'm going to take Kentucky. They've probably been the best team in the country the last month. They're by far the funnest. We've already talked about that for sure. Kapapa Perry has figured it out maybe. Um, if Texas A&M was healthy, I would damn near take them to win this tournament. It's hard to trust them. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the team that I know has good offense and good rebounding, and they generally have played with every team except for Tennessee. I'll take Florida as my long shot.
Okay. I thought about them too. I thought about them. I also liked the thought of Texas A&M too, just because they have like the two stars on the team. So maybe
Yeah,
they got such a brutal draw. Like
yeah.
start with Ole Miss, then you have to go to play Kentucky, then probably have to play Alabama or Florida, and then you have to play Tennessee or Auburn. Probably so just a terrible
It's not
draw.
ideal. I guess in the grand scheme of things, gambling wise, if Kentucky doesn't get a lot of action here in the next 2 days,
Mhm.
they could float up to 500 and you would
Yeah,
consider them a long shot. I mean, it's
yeah,
not, I still think that Alabama and Tennessee are probably like the consensus, like public teams. Auburn by
uh-huh.
far is the worst value at plus 260. Like,
Yeah. Terrible value there.
I don't understand how. I'm
Yeah,
starting to actually think maybe the books are doing that on purpose so people don't
Mhm.
bet them and they actually do win.
Yeah, probably.
But again, you can see Kentucky float.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm also with you on Kentucky. They were my pick as well. Just so hot right now. Like they've only since that Gonzaga loss, they only have one loss, and it was by one to Arkansas. Weird loss, but still,
Yeah.
they've only have one loss since the Gonzaga game. My long shot here, though, I really like this because it's plus 6,000. South Carolina,
Yeah.
mostly because they avoid the Bama side, the Kentucky Bama side. Those are terrible matchups for South Carolina because they don't score like those teams, so they avoid that. Yes, it's a very tough matchup against Auburn if they get by their Vanderbilt or Arkansas, which I expect South Carolina to. But you're going to have a tough matchup in this conference almost no matter what. So I like their draw, and I like that how good they've been playing. Yes, they lose to the top echelon teams, but they do avoid Kentucky and Bama, and maybe there's an upset to Tennessee, and they don't have to play them. So I would take
Yeah.
South Carolina as my long shot, but gonna ride with Kentucky to win the SEC.
Yep. Also, I'm just gonna plant this little seed in everyone's brain before our episode next week.
Mhm.
I do think that Tennessee showed their butts uh against Kentucky. They cannot play physical.
No,
Holy smokes, are they going to get manhandled by like almost any team in the country with someone that has
Mhm.
size?
Yeah, this is the exact opposite of last year when all they did was manhandle everybody.
Yeah, I don't know what, and well, and Connect, as great as he is, I'm pretty sure
Uh-huh.
they tell him just to go stand on the other end of the court and not get hurt. He
Uh-huh.
puts no effort into
Nah,
defense.
defense is not his forte. That is for
Jeez
damn sure.
Louise, guy, you at least got to pretend you're trying.
Yeah,
Look like
40.
Jay Cutler lining up at receiver.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if his 40 points is actually more than he allowed on the other end.
Golly.
All right. Oh, since we just went through all this tournament talk, go join our tournament challenge.
Whoa.
Yes, sitting courtside brackets on ESPN. Join. It's completely free. You do win a fun prize pack if you do win the
The
challenge.
tournament.
It's
Mhm.
yeah, sitting courtside brackets. Just go search it. It's very easy to find. And then of course, all week we'll be giving out our picks. It's kind of hard to go on here and give out the picks because you don't know the matchup. So make
Yep.
sure you follow us on Twitter at Mingo Made One at Kyle Cliffy. We'll be having picks from noon Eastern all the way to past midnight on some of these nights because we have games all day, every day. It's truly a fantastic time of the season. So best of luck in your wagers. We'll be back later in the week. And then, of course, next week, once the brackets are revealed on Sunday, we will be doing it on YouTube. We'll be both filling out our brackets next Tuesday's podcast.
Yes. All right.
All right. Well, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later in the week.
Love you guys.